Well, his biography is still on the White House website, which is kind of odd because he's no longer on the payroll. As one of the president's senior aides, Claude Allen was advising his boss on what to do. Now he's the one who needs advising, and from a defense attorney, after police say they busted him in a shoplifting scheme that is surprising a lot of people, especially the president. CNN's Joe Johns investigates.
This was no run-of-the-mill shoplifting arrest. Claude Allen, once a rising star in Republican politics, said to be deeply religious, a true conservative, 45 years old, married, a father of 4, a high-ranking advisor to President Bush who 3 years ago nominated him to be a federal appeals court judge. So Allen's background has been cleared by federal investigators over and over again.
He is someone who has gone through a number of background checks. His background has been investigated.
In other words, there was no hint of suspicion about him. So when the president's advisor on domestic policy recently and suddenly quit his job, citing long work hours and the desire to spend more time with his family, it raised questions. And how he got from there to here, this mugshot, is spelled out in police records. In January, Claude Allen walks into a Target store in suburban Maryland and quickly becomes a suspect in a common scam known as refund fraud. Police say he was observed taking items and putting them in the cart. Then he went to the returns counter, and police say he produced a receipt, supposedly for the items he'd just taken off the shelves. He was arrested after he left the store. Police say it wasn't the first time he stole from Target, that he'd been collecting fraudulent refunds from Target and another department store chain to the tune of $5,000 going back to last October. In all, police say they believe Allen has conducted more than 24 of these types of refunds, having the money credited to his credit cards.
Our detectives that followed it up, there were as many as 25 cases. There is some videotape on some of the cases. So
Police, who waited until last week to lodge the charges against Allen, say surveillance tapes document Allen's alleged crimes. But Allen's lawyer says it was a big misunderstanding.
Mr. Allen intends to establish that this is all a mistake, that nothing has been done that was inappropriate, that we think when we have the opportunity to meet with the Target officials and explain with the receipts and show what happened, that they're going to understand that it is confusion and misunderstanding and that matter should be resolved.
The store is in an upscale suburb of Washington, D.C., the kind of place where it's easy to find customers who are well off. That, by all accounts, is what Claude Allen was, well off. A government lawyer with a 6-figure salary and an expensive home. Real estate records show Allen bought the house for nearly $1 million last October, about the same time police say he allegedly started stealing. One question is whether he needed the money. Allen made about $161,000 a year before he quit his job. In April 2003, on a financial statement provided to the Senate Judiciary Committee, he then listed his net worth at $167,000 and listed his wife as a homemaker. For somebody with Allen's former income and 4 kids, the question is, did all of that, plus the new house, stretch him too thin?
It's possible that, someone like this who needs to aspire, try to reach the highest levels in life and feels a lot of stress about it, can get themselves into a bit of financial trouble. And while we don't know that was the case here, it's often the case in situations like this that people's identity gets ahead of their financial means until somehow they need to feel some way that they can catch up.
In January, before quitting his job, the White House says Allen told White House counsel Harriet Miers and Chief of Staff Andy Card there had been a mix-up.
The way he explained it to Harriet was that he was returning some merchandise, and there was some confusion with some credit cards because he had moved a number of times.
If it was a mix-up, it's one that police say apparently happened many times. Claude Allen's next court date is scheduled in 2 weeks.